This episode is brought to you by Bad Boy Boards. Based right here in Denver, Bad Boy Boards takes raw hardwood and turns it into world-class cutting boards, charcuterie boards, chess boards, and more. It's a local brand with high quality and great prices, which is great because home chefs like me don't have to settle for anything less than simple elegance in world-class quality hardwood boards and dust covers. Learn more and order your own individually designed, constructed, and finished board at badboyboards.com. Hey, before we get to today's conversation, I have a favor to ask. CityCast is surveying our listeners to help make CityCast Denver a better, more useful podcast for you. Please go to citycast.fm/survey to take the survey. It's only 5 minutes long. We timed it. That's citycast.fm/survey. When you take the survey, you'll also be eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card. Thanks. Today on CityCast Denver, some of the best places to eat in the city don't look like anything special. But once you know, you'll find yourself going back again and again. This summer, we're hopping into the mobile recording studio, aka the car, and going on a search for these hidden gems with our pal, Westward food editor Molly Martin. Since it's the last day of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we're visiting a Szechuan spot on Colorado Boulevard and talking about all the AAPI restaurants we love all year round. Today is Wednesday, May 31st. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about.
Well, we're outside Noodle Express. I thought it was Noodles Express.
Me too. I just said it on the phone and realized I said noodles, and that's wrong.
It's Noodle Express. We're in a pretty janky shopping center in the Belcaro neighborhood. It's the Belcaro King Soopers, if any of you are familiar. Old school Denverites will know it's across from the former Celebrity Sports Center. But we're here to try Noodle Express with our friend Molly Martin from Westward. Hi, Molly.
Hello.
And I've got Peyton Garcia, newsletter editor, resident foodie in the car.
Hey.
Molly, tell us a little bit about Noodle Express.
Sure. So Noodle Express opened right before everything shut down when the pandemic happened.
One of those stories.
It also has a name that would lead you to believe it might be a chain that does some kind of indiscriminate noodle.
Yes, not very descriptive.
So I don't think it got a lot of attention for a million different reasons when it opened. But I heard about it from Laura Shunk, who used to be the food critic at Westward and who lived in China for, I think, a year at one point. And so she's very tuned into the Chinese food scene here. And she said, hey, you have to go to this place in this weird shopping center off Colorado Boulevard. They're doing some really awesome Szechuan stuff.
And I love that she said to you, you have to go to this restaurant in a weird strip mall. Because that feels like a lot of our food.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yes.
Is like random. Peyton, you know this. Like,
Yeah, I would totally argue, especially when it comes to like ethnic food, Mexican food especially. I prefer my Mexican food to come out of a hole in the wall named tacos.
Noodle Express.
Noodle Express.
That's where you get the best Mexican food. I argue Brighton has the best Mexican food because it's all just
random.
You're buying tamales from a girl selling them out of a shoebox.
Yeah. And this place definitely has that vibe.
Yeah. And I love a place like that too. So she told me about it and I wrote it on my list that sits by my desk of places I should get to at some point. And months went by and I didn't go. And one day I said, okay, this is the day I'm going to go. And I came and it was, I think, January last year, or maybe early February last year. I loved it. I wrote about it. The story came out and suddenly I start getting emails from people saying, hey, I heard that place is going to close next week. And I was like, that is a real bummer because what a gem this is. And what could I do but just say, hey, we should go to this place. So I was like blasting it on social media. There are some Facebook groups I know that were doing the same. And people really rallied around it. It was going to close. It was supposed to close last February 24th. that was like a Tuesday. The weekend before, they just were jammed. I got pictures from friends who came in and were sending me like stacks of tickets sitting on the counter. Mark Antonation, the old food editor, tried to come and they had to close early because they ran out of food. By the day before that they were supposed to close, the owner confirmed they weren't going to close.
That is so awesome.
That people's support
Mattered.
and gave them that extra push to try it. So they were able to renegotiate their lease with King Soopers, and they're still here.
So I guess we just dine there. We're sitting in the car post meal. I'm very full. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah, coma status.
Very family style. We let's go through what we got. We tried a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let's start with the homestyle cabbage. Tell me a little bit about what was in that, Molly.
So they do vegetable dishes really well here. They have a number that are kind of on the more Szechuan spicy side. This was on the sweeter side. I hadn't tried this one before, but it was nice. Kind of big pieces of like sauteed cabbage and kind of a sweet brown sauce. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the sauce was great.
It was a little salty too. I liked that, the salty sweet. And it wasn't too spicy. It had peppers in it, but it wasn't too spicy. And it was really hearty. I'm glad that you convinced me, Molly, that cabbage is worth a try.
Give cabbage a chance.
I was really skeptical.
Also in our vegetarian order, we got the mapo tofu.
Well, which isn't really vegetarian because there's ground pork in it. You missed. I think you missed that preview conversation.
Never mind.
But I like that it's ground pork and tofu because so often it's just like tofu is the side thing you do for the vegetarian. When in reality it can be something mixed with other things.
Yep.
That was good and spicy
Very
and not
spicy.
vegetarian. Were the Dan Dan noodles vegetarian?
No.
They had pork in them too, right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Also spicy.
Okay, all right. Wow, Brie, you
I mean,
thought that was spicy.
Yeah, this is it's specialty is Szechuan, which is known for spicy.
For its spice. We also got Chongqing chicken. I'm sorry if I butchered that, which
essentially
was basically
Szechuan fried chicken. So if anyone's been to Hop Valley, the La GZ that they do there, same concept.
Which is better, Molly? Because I have not been to Hop Valley. Crazy enough.
Better, different. I mean, they're pretty similar actually. This one's bone in, which can throw some people off, I think.
Totally.
Well, because it's bone in, but then it's chopped.
Yeah, tiny
you
little pieces.
Don't necessarily know it's bone in until you hit that.
Bone.
So that was a little surprising.
Yeah,
for sure.
But definitely similar flavor profiles.
Like the crispy, it was so crispy and a little salty.
That was good.
Nice.
And then lastly, Brie, we got sesame chicken.
I ordered from the section of the menu called America's Popular.
Yep.
Which is all things I would eat.
You know, though, I want to say, I think it's valid to have somebody like you go to a place like this with us.
Who has no taste in
I mean, what was that
in good
experience
food?
like? No, but I'm just saying, what was that experience like for you? I'm saying that because I think Chinese food is something, or really just Asian food is something that can be really unapproachable to people. At least authentic Asian food.
Yeah.
Can be super unapproachable, and I don't know.
And I have to say, I don't know a ton of China's a large country. I don't know about the cuisine representation here very well because in my neighborhood, it's predominantly Vietnamese food. So that would be the thing I know a little bit better. And when it comes to Chinese food, I'm the takeout Chinese food guy, which is a lot of people, right? Like
there's American Chinese food is
American
great.
Chinese food.
I mean,
right.
It's awesome. When you want it, you want it. That's what you want. There's a million great things about it. And it's smart that they have that here too because you have to have broad appeal. But
I appreciate that they had it on there, but I also think it's cool that it was not the dominant part of the menu, right? It was kind of like a tiny section that just says America's Popular, but then there's all of these other things that I had never seen before. So, yeah, I agree. I thought it was good. Also, it's really hard to do sesame chicken wrong. It was great.
Oh, I've been to places that do it wrong.
Yeah.
I've been to bad.
I've had bad China. I guess the place that I go is New China on Alameda and Pearl. And it's the best takeout Chinese food I've ever had. Yeah. So
New China's great.
They've never messed anything up in my life, and I've eaten there a million times. But this was good. I thought it was helpful to have you, Molly, though, because you need somebody to help you walk through the menu if you're the America's Popular guy.
It can be intimidating because I think your eyes go to things like intestine and feet, and you're like, that's a high bar of entry for a lot of people. But there's plenty of things on there that are super approachable. We didn't get it today, but I love the Szechuan, like broiled fish, which a lot of Szechuan places have.
So, Molly, how would you? I'm just curious, like, because it can be so intimidating, like what's your advice to people like Brie if they go into a restaurant like this? How do you order and get something that's maybe not America's popular?
I mean, it's never a bad idea to ask the people working there what they would recommend to you. I mean, I find that they're, especially if you walk in and you obviously seem intimidated and unfamiliar, they're going to steer you towards things that are popular on their menu and that they think that you're going to like. I mean, they want you to like the food. So I think it's totally fine to engage in conversation with someone. You can also do a little research beforehand and see, you know, that's kind of was when I started to get more familiar with this, I went with other people who knew and did the same thing we just did. Said, you tell me what to order, where do we start? And yeah, but I mean, with all food, right? You just kind of have to dive in and start to figure out what you like and don't like.
I love that point, though. That seems very obvious, but they're not going to steer you towards, they want you to eat there.
Yeah, they want you to eat there. They want you to like it. They want you to come
they're not
back.
going to throw you to the intestine noodles.
Yeah. Can I also shout out our server? She was great.
She was great.
Yeah,
She was so sweet.
awesome.
I really liked her.
But I would say the cabbage was a great start for me.
Yeah. Vegetables are a great place to start, I would say, with Chinese cuisine. They tend to be like more flavor packed than you expect them to be. It's a nice way to have a surprising vegetable.
Well, and like the adventuresome part to me comes with the different parts of animals, and I'm just not there.
Yeah.
I'm just not there. But that's also my extremely America's popular idea of like what I like in food.
A lot of the thing I think with the eating different parts of animals that you're not familiar with is a texture thing for a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
which I think is valid. Like those are textures you have to get used to.
But it's just a matter of trying it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that this restaurant is, open and staying open because it was really delicious. But we kind of wanted to know, Molly, how does it feel to be a part of this restaurant's story? I mean, do you feel like you kind of played a big part in
a way, a little bit, but like that feels like too much. Like there were so many people that rallied around it. It certainly wasn't just me, but I had a platform to help, and that felt really good because so many times I have to write about places closing, and it was so cool to be able to see like real positive action come from writing a story. And but I want to shout out, and I think we can talk about a story that my current intern Sandra Vode just wrote about a guy named Adam Yu. And so this guy, I'm in a Facebook group called Crazy Hungry Asians that someone recommended to me a while ago. And he is in there all the time. I see his name all the time. He seems to know about everything. I believe the person who first told me Noodles Express was going to close had gotten their information from him. So I've always been so curious about him and what his background is. And Sandra did a story on him, and he's Taiwanese. He moved here. He started working for the IRS in accounting. But because we are a city that doesn't have a Chinatown, he was feeling this real disconnect. Like we were lacking a place for people of Chinese heritage to connect with each other. And so he took it upon himself to start doing that through a variety of things, the Facebook group. But he also blogs, his blog called Denver Chinese Source. And then he has also compiled this really cool Asian food map called the Asian Restaurant Guide on his blog where he lists all types of Asian restaurants. And so if people are looking for other more Asian restaurants to support any time of the year or just to go try something new, that is an amazing resource.
I love that. I'd love for us to share that because that would be a great way. Sometimes it's geography. It's just like, where am I in the city?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to try?
And we've talked about how things are so spread out here, and you often, because we don't have a Chinatown, because we don't, have those places where you can go and just, have easy access, walk into anywhere and know it's going to be good. You have to seek them out in Denver. And
you need a little guidance sometimes.
And that's okay because then you find cool Szechuan cooking right by Target on Colorado Boulevard.
Totally.
When they're hidden in little strip malls with really nondescript names.
Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned this, but it's AAPI Heritage Month, and this we tend to talk about food a lot when we talk about this community, this diaspora of folks. Are there other places that you like, Pei, that you would like to shout out for folks to try, just in general?
Yeah.
When we're talking about AAPI food.
I was thinking into the places here that I really like, and it turns out I have kind of a tendency to go to Thai places, as I feel like. I won't go on and on about this because longtime listeners and readers already know my favorite Thai restaurant in the city, which is Chata Thai. I don't know if you can really count that as a hole in the wall, or I don't know. It's small and it's over on 17th, and It's great. I love it so much. It's one of the oldest Thai places in the city. They claim to be one of the first Thai places in the nation. I don't know how they could possibly know that, but so good. And then I was thinking of ramen because I was thinking noodles, and I've never been to Uncle, which I know is like insane. It's just one of those things where it's so popular. Like, you really have to make a whole thing of going there, especially for me if I have to drive into the city to do
drive
it.
into the
So I
city.
just wanted to shout out to all my fellow suburbians out there. I like 303 Ramen. It's in Arvada. Have you been there, Molly?
I have not.
It's very, very good. Super delicious. I think one of the better ramen places in the suburbs. So those are my two underappreciated restaurants that I wanted to shout out.
Okay.
What do you think, Molly? What
I know
do you
I'm
have?
staring at my list, which is probably longer than it needs to be. But I was thinking about other spots for Szechuan cuisine.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing we don't have a ton of, which is when this place was going to close, I was so sad because we had just lost Blue Ocean, which was down in the tech center where the owner did the hand pulled noodles, which was, and they were so good. And I still think about them all the time. So I was happy when this place stayed open, but we also have Szechuan Tasty House on Evans. They did cut down some of their Szechuan dishes in the last year, but they're still amazing. There's also a place called Meat and Eat Bistro, which is on Hamden, kind of almost to Aurora on Hamden. It used to be a place called Mr. How, but now it's Meat and Eat. They have some awesome Szechuan stuff. And then I also wanted to shout out a couple places where they're second-generation kids of immigrants who are now kind of combining their experience with what their parents made with their American experience,
Yeah.
which I think are such cool places. So Meta Asian Kitchen was in Avanti and recently moved into Honor Farm, which is on Blake Street. And they're
Oh, wait, is that the...
Old Pueblo. It was
Yeah.
what,
Old
the Pueblo,
Pueblo
Bar.
Bar.
Pueblo Bar.
And by Old Pueblo Bar, it was a
Pueblo
bar that
Bar
was there for
a minute.
6 months. Yeah.
Now they've like embraced the building's haunted history because
Yes.
it used to be the Blake Street Vault.
That's
so
right.
They still have the vaults in the basement, but Meta Asian Kitchen are now doing the food out of their kitchen, and they're also going to open a brick and mortar called Mac Fam in Baker. They're working on that now, hoping to open this year. So they're doing some really cool stuff. And then who moved into their spot in Avanti when they left is Pho King Rapidos.
Of course.
Yeah, they were a food truck and now are over at Avanti and are also working on opening a brick and mortar with Penelope Wong from Yuan Wonton and then an artisan bakery called Sweets and Sourdough. So
I saw that Pho King Rapidos posted the other day when they opened in Avanti, they were out of food before the lunch rush. So
Yeah.
you really got to plan your trip.
Yeah.
if
A
you're
lot
gonna
of cool
check
stuff
that out.
happening on the Asian cuisine scene.
oh my God, so much.
Molly, I want to ask you about Cork.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
the food
what's
hall.
this all about?
Yeah, so that's down south, as in like almost to Parker
Littleton.
Road.
Oh, that far.
Yeah, like Arapahoe and almost Parker, essentially. And so it's an Asian food hall. It's owned by a guy who's hoping to have it be like a kind of more diverse food hall. It really ended up being mostly pretty much all Korean places that are in there right now. Still super cool place to go and explore. So you walk in, there are all these stalls, but you order at a front counter. So all the menus are at the front counter. You order in one place and then each stall will serve up to you. But they have all kinds of different things in there and it's just kind of a cool place to go share a lot of different things with
I
a
wanna
group.
try that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks really good.
I'd heard too that I thought that they were turning the old Broadway market space into like an Asian food
When
hall.
it wasn't really going to be a food hall, it was more like a virtual food
like
hall.
I think they were calling it like a virtual kitchen.
Yeah.
like a ghost kitchen?
Yes, like a ghost kitchen hybrid food hall thing. But it doesn't seem like that has come to fruition. There's a for lease sign back on the building now, so
Such
it
a
doesn't
bummer.
look like that's actually
Okay, so go to
happening.
Cork for your Asian food
Go
hall.
to Cork.
H's.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like old school. I have to say, Tommy's Thai was the first place I ever had Thai food, and it's still one of my go-tos, but I have to drive across town to get there because in my neighborhood, I have Saigon Bowl,
Yeah.
New Saigon.
Mhm.
Tiwa was one of the oldest ones, been gone for many years, but I'm trying to think what else. I mean, Pho Dui,
Yeah.
Pho 96,
There's so
Wowing
many.
Noodle
There's
House,
so many. Our Asian food scene
Khao
is
Boba. I mean,
stellar.
there's
Honestly.
so much.
I could go on and on, but I wanted to give one more little shout out for something on topic that Asian Restaurant Week happened for the first time this year.
Yeah, that's right.
And they just announced it's coming back next year. It was so popular
It was
and such
so
a hit
popular.
that they're going to bring it back, probably bigger and better next year. So be
It was
on the
also
lookout.
one of those things that was like, how did we not have this before?
Yeah,
I'm so
it
glad
makes
that
so
it
much
happened.
sense. So next year, this is going to be April 28th to May 4th, 2024. So
That's great.
that'll be a fun time.
I want to share Someone wrote in, so we had a listener write in, and I'm sorry, I hope I'm saying this right. Mylin, I believe is how you pronounce their name. But they wrote in with a couple of recommendations, and I'm sorry if I'm going to butcher these again. Pho Hong on Federal. They said, lots of folks go to Star Kitchen for dim sum, but they have a small selection of popular dim sum dishes without the wait. You order off of the menu. They don't have carts like they do at other restaurants. I like the turnip cake, shrimp rice noodle crepe, and steamed shrimp dumpling off the dim sum menu, and also a pork wonton and egg noodle soup.
Ooh.
Then Mylin also recommends Tea Cafe, I think is how you say it.
Oh, on Broadway?
Mm-hmm. A Vietnamese coffee shop co-owned by 3 Vietnamese American sisters. I don't have a particular beverage I get every time. It changes depending on my mood, but I highly recommend the baked goods they offer, specifically their Bon Pate Chad, a puff pastry meat pie filled with pork, and their Bon Cam, a sesame ball. They have great design elements in their coffee shop and just had a really fun anime week recently. They have a daily themed drink specials and cute macaron.
I was just going to say, it's a very Instagrammy coffee shop, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. That like,
Yeah.
I got the flan iced coffee, and it's just like in this beautiful like bubble container with this little beautiful tag
Yeah.
that hangs off the side. It's
Oh my
just like
gosh,
a good
we
looking
could do
drink.
a whole, honestly, episode on just like Asian beverage places.
Oh, seriously.
Really
Like
good
the
looking
bubble
drinks.
tea that's coming, like bubble tea places everywhere. It's just like that's a whole world of
That's a whole nother show.
whole world of beverages out there.
I love it. Well, Peyton, Molly, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And here's what else Denverites are talking about. Dozens. The classic Mile High breakfast spot where you could catch politicians, judges, and media types has been closed for nearly a year after a kitchen fire. Business Den reports that the 25-year-old restaurant now plans to relocate to 14th and Tremont in the old Greedy Hamster space. Owner John England says to expect dozens to return in the next 6 months or so. I personally can't wait to enjoy a DTC with scrambled eggs and a whole French press of coffee all to myself. And finally, the new owners of Lake Steam Baths have revealed more of their plans for the West Colfax Institution. Denverite reports that despite the name of their development company, Boom Car Wash LLC, the owners are not planning to demolish the baths and build a car wash. Instead, it sounds like they want to build a 5-story, 58-unit boutique hotel with some new version of the old baths on the first floor. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell Boom Car Wash LLC about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Denver, by texting Denver to 66866. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later. It's germ. Oh, God. It's just like, it's like the only thing worse is carpet in a kitchen. I'm like, oh, this is for people that don't cook. Okay, got it. Gross.